Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mouse and today I'm going to be talking to you about my second single from my EP, Love Me Like You're Gonna Lose Me. I love this song so much. This is probably the song that came about the easiest by a long way, to be honest. Originally this song actually was just the length of one verse and one chorus, and it existed like that for a really long time, and I sent this demo around to a couple of people. At this point I didn't think I wanted to produce it because I just had no ideas of what I actually wanted to do with it, and of course I didn't end up producing the final thing. I kind of co-produced it, I guess, but primarily Teen definitely took a huge lead on it, which was amazing. Before that, this song existed as this really short, I think it was only about 40 seconds long, maybe a minute, something like that. It was very short, and actually a couple of people who had heard it said to me, I just thought it was that length. Like, I don't think you actually need to make it longer if you don't want to. It's really impactful like it is. So I kind of I thought that it would be a really nice interlude, actually. I didn't really have many ideas about how I wanted to extend it. In December of 2019, I went to go and catch Saz's set at the Illegal Data Club night in Bristol, and before she was on, Teen was on, and I caught a bit of her set, and it just genuinely blew my mind. I'd never seen somebody play live with like pitch and formant and rhythm, and yeah. It was something else. It was something I'd never seen before, never heard before. I'd never seen somebody do it live before, so it really was something so unique to me. And then a month later, I messaged and was just like, hey, I think you're really sick. Would you be interested in working with me on something? And thank goodness he was like, yes, I would love to. He took it and built this beautiful song structure around it, and it did have a verse then and a middle eight. I think the second version had a middle eight. I don't think the first version that we did had. Lyrically, this song is, lyrically this song is really special to me. It's one of my favourite choruses. It's one of my favourite to sing around the house as well. It just sits really naturally in my range, and I love the runs so much. They were so fun to write and so much fun to replicate now as well. Some trivia for you. My favourite lyric in this whole song is the first one. I just love that line so much because this song is written about a person who came into my life after I finished my therapy and with my support group and things like that, and prior to this point a lot of people who knew me joked that I was cold or my heart was made of stone and things like that, because I didn't really have much love to give, let alone myself or anybody else, and if there was anything sad or whatever, I was the one that never cried. I always kept a cool head, but actually it was just because I was so disconnected from my emotions. So yeah, this song is about that person who was able to break that cycle, essentially. Working with Teen was just so easy because this is honestly the second version I think that we had. We didn't really need to go back and forth that much because I was just like, yeah, well that's just great, so cool, done. However, when it came to mixing, the rest of the songs on the EP, excluding the classical bookends, all the other songs were mixed with Gabriel Gifford and myself, but this song is just me. I felt a lot more comfortable mixing it, I think, because the way that Teen had grouped the stems for me when he was sending me them to write to finish the song lyrically, I just felt a little bit more comfortable doing it, I think, because there was a lot less going on, it seemed. And also at this point in the process, I was starting to feel a lot more comfortable with the idea of me mixing work anyway. Oh, tell me if the one is so deep. Hard to believe that's the same person, isn't it? You know, whenever I'm singing around the house, I'm always like, ooh, you know, either that or I'm trying to impersonate Iggy Azalea, her freestyle at that festival. Tie your monks. Feel good. Yeah. I have tremendous period pain today, so I'm trying really hard to stay focused, but I'm struggling. This pandemic has really messed with my periods. I cannot begin to describe It's not good. Something else that I need to sort in this is also the vocoder. I actually wrote it with a different chord progression, and for some reason the original chords have actually stayed in the vocoder part, so it just sounds whack. It means that the original chords underneath almost add a vocoder that's doing like a really extravagant extended chord above what's actually going on in the track, and it just, you know, it doesn't sound wrong. It doesn't sound wrong, but it just doesn't quite sound as tight and solid as it should do. Also, I've realised I have no sidechaining on the vocoder, which again isn't that much of an issue. I think it would sound a lot more punchy if there was a vocoder here, and this song is all about the punch. So I think I have finished mixing everything now. I finished Love Me Like You're Gonna Lose Me. I say finished, I basically balanced vocals and swapped out a suspended cymbal sample, try to say that fast, while I was sitting outside. It is like 27 degrees today, and I'm a very outdoorsy person and I don't really like sitting at my computer. I've got a mark from where my sunglasses were. Yeah, I don't really like sitting at my computer, so particularly when it's nice outside, I just want to do anything else. So yeah, I've just finished. I'm gonna go home now, quadruple check everything through, and then send it off to Jake. Funny, because I have a bottle of Prosecco in the fridge and I feel like I'm always waiting for the right moment to open it, but in actual fact that moment hasn't arrived, because it's like, okay, I've ticked one thing off and then I'm like, right, on to the next. Which is fine, that's how I like to work. I like to be busy, I like to always have something else to do next. But I think it's really important that I practice celebrating my achievements at each stage. Basically doing really small last minute things, like this is just one like ad lib. Because before it was just like the wetness of the reverb, was just really, it was just too much. So basically these are my notes today. As you can see, we're at the point where we're having like, maybe do this. I've got a little, lovely little flowers, vegan wax melt, bloody hell, what time is it? 11:15 and I still can't speak. So here we are at the vocals for Love Me Like You're Gonna Lose Me. As you can see, this is just not up to my usual standards of neatness, but it's fine. So this was purely what I recorded into, and I also did some light processing, particularly on things like performance shifted vocals and pitch shifted vocals as well. Did this before I had my little altar boy plugin, so I'm using Logic's stock vocal transformer, which is fine. Just other ones I find are a bit smoother. I always imagine my life with you in it. Not so much. Lots of things like that, and I kind of play around with it throughout the verses. I don't really know why, but I've turned everything, this is purely how I opened this project. I turned everything off and kept Space Designer on. I'm just gonna leave it, why not? This is the chorus. I feel like you're gonna lose me. Bearing in mind, this is not how I mixed it. This is not the mixed project. No way. No way. I feel like you're gonna lose me. Like you so we've got a melody up here. Kiss me like your life depends double track, triple track. Maybe then I won't leave. Oh, pray like you always believe. Kiss me like your life depends on it, and maybe then I won't leave. All the time might change. Definitely my favourite bit of processing on the whole EP is this section here. It's so simple, but I love it. just that little reverb tail at the end, it just makes me so happy. So let's have a look at what's going on. I just use Space Designer, which is Logic's stock reverb plugin. It's fantastic, it's so versatile, and I automated the wetness, the wet output of the reverb. So if you watch the wet output here, of course I'm not doing anything. Lovely, and then it comes down really quickly into that muted wetness, which I just think sounds really expansive, and then all of a sudden super tight, which is really cool. I love playing with dynamics in my songs in any way, regardless of whether it's production, vocal processing, just the performance, whatever it is, lyrically. I think dynamic range is what keeps us all interested. I enjoyed adding some little backing vocal parts into verse 2. Yeah, I really like that. Same with this actually. Would you make me love you again under pale yellow sunrises, but I really love little bits like that, and you know, as you can hear, that is auto-tuned to hell, but it just doesn't matter because it's not in the forefront. It doesn't matter at all, and in fact it's probably better that it is super tuned. Oh, I just hate looking at this project so much. Oh, it's me. How did it? Here's a fun fact for you. Well, fun if you like. For some reason, and I have no idea to this day why, I cut this audio here and I deleted this section. So that is actually a take that I recorded months after I actually recorded the rest of this song, which is quite annoying, but there we go. Yeah, I was just waiting for that section to come in. It never did. So for me, because I know that every time I listen to this song, I feel like that line just really sticks out, like my voice is just a bit more developed, I think. Lose me, oh, you lose me. How did it? Yeah, weird. Come to this. Forever's a long time. How could I let myself be with you if it weren't right? But I always imagine a life with you in it. I love this ad-lib. I took my chances from the first minute. I believe these are in red because I needed to go back and flex time them afterwards. And what that means is when you... Let me just see. Is it true? Did I do... Yes, I did do that. Knew I would have. That is why it's red, because it's like, do not do this. This sounds bad if you don't do this. So if you... Logic has this stock system called Flex, and it's just amazing. See, it kind of seeks out the transients, or at least some of the key parts in the wave, and you can also put them in yourself, and then you can drag them around to make sure they are absolutely in time. This used to be something that I never wanted to do myself. I just didn't understand. I knew how to do it, but I just I don't know, I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest with you. It's really pedantic, but it makes the world of difference. It really does. Like you always believe. Lose me, you lose me. There you go. Mix. I think it was more fun to mix for me because I hadn't written these parts. You know, I hadn't programmed them, so for me to mix it was really inspiring, actually, to look at what is going on, what each of the stems are doing, what each of the instruments are doing, and just see what's in there. So instead of showing you how I produced it, because I cannot do that, I'm going to take you through and show you some of my favourite sounds that are in this song, which I tried to bring out in the mix, and hopefully you will have heard them in the song itself. So let's firstly take a look at the drums. Some of my favourite sounds in here where the drums are concerned is this little glitter cymbal. I love this so much. I think it sounds so cute. And I love the way Teens panned it as well, because it just goes from right to left and right again, and it's just adds so much movement up in the high end. It's really, really cool. I love this snare so much. I love how much tone is in that snare, and I am a sucker. Anybody who knows me well knows me that I am an absolute sucker for like a high-pitched snare. I just love it so much. Or a snare which doesn't sound like it should be a snare. Just very, very cool. I have this really cool like 80s sound bass with a sub. And this like heavy bass sound. Pretty gnarly. How cute is that? How cute is that sound? Oh, I love that sound too. My favourite thing in this whole song is the addition of this really soft piano sound. Here it's called Dream Organ, but oh my gosh, I love it so much. It adds so much to the song and so much softness, because actually this song is pretty, I think this song goes pretty hard. I mean, I've just called this bit. Clearly couldn't think of anything better to call this little section between chorus 1 and verse 2, but here's the first instance of this piano, and I just think it's so stunning. And it happens again in the middle 8 too, alongside this really cool pluck sound. It's mirroring my melody. Oh, the addition of that just makes so much difference, I think. It is just such an interesting thing to put in, and yeah, it's just genius, basically. Again, mimicking that melody that I'm singing as well. I also really like working with Will, because I'll get stems that are just called things like this. Should this be here? Should this be here too? For me, it was obviously a big yes, because I've kept them. How cool is that? And it only happens that one time. I love it so much. Getting a bit of resolution, the chord is also brighter, but it sounds extra distorted right at the end, so it's really quite crushing at the same time. So what I do when I am mixing somebody else's track, I will throw all the stems in that I've got. Thankfully, Teen sends me them in like folders, so all the drums are together, all the bass is together, and so on. So it's really simple, but not everyone does that, which is fine. So what I'll do is I'll throw all the drum stems in, and I will put them into one of these groups like this, just called a track stack, and that just keeps everything together, and it means that I can not only have an effect on all of these at once, but I can keep all of these in a tidy folder, so once the drums are balanced and leveled how I'd like them, I can just hit that arrow and it's just gone, which just tidies up the project so much more. So what I do is I separate all the instruments out into folders like that, and then I'll go through the drums, I'll listen to everything, I will balance everything to how I think things should sit volume wise. I might touch panning at this point, but it's definitely just to kind of discover what's actually involved in the song, because when you hear the bounce or you hear just a rough version of the instrumental that I recorded to, for example, you don't actually necessarily always know what's, you know, actually in the song. So I do that, and then I also make sure I pick out my favourite bits, and then I make a note or a mental note to when I come to actually doing the final version, make sure those parts that I love are really getting their chance to shine. So I did that with the instrumentals, that was all fine, and then I of course stuck in my vocals as well so I can mix it all in the same project. So these are just bounces of, and it looks obviously so much neater, these are just bounces of the vocals that you saw in the vocal recording project. Yeah, so much neater, and I have things going to a bus, and on my vocal bus is that it? God, that's so simple. Fair enough. I have an EQ, I have a compression, a delay, and a space designer. I'd like to do some videos on what my favourite plugins are, because this one was it for a very long time, and then I got Soundtoys Little Altar Boy, and then it changed my world. So those doubles and triple tracks are also processed in the same way, just turned down in volume or loudness. And then of course we have the harmonies, so I've panned them all around, and also I have of course the little extra bits, so formant, pitch shift, exaggerated delay. So what I mean by that is, instead of automating my wetness higher in certain places, I've just cut out that little bit of audio, repeated it, dropped it on a different track and process it differently. I don't think either of those ways is better than the other, but that's just obviously how I have done it. I just think it looks more it just looks more approachable, to be honest. So if you've liked this video, please hit subscribe, definitely give it a like, and also if you have any further questions about anything to do with this track, then do leave me a comment and I'll get back to you there. And don't forget to hit the notification button as well, the little bell, so you don't miss a thing. Thank you so much for getting this far in the video, and I will see you in my next one.